It's February, and that means it's Black History Month. A time for us as Americans to come together and celebrate notable black figures in the United States past. When I was in school, we used this time to learn about the civil rights movement and its leaders like Rosa Parks, Langston Hughes, and of course, Martin Luther King Jr. We also learned about events like the Emancipation Proclamation, the celebration of Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves, and the Civil War in general. Some people have claimed that it is unfair to devote time to a specific set of people. Just last year, a school in Ogden, Utah temporarily let parents choose if their children would undergo lessons and exercises of Black history. And while a specific reason was never given as to the desire for this request, I believe that it's based on the uncomfortable truths that most people usually skirt around. You may be asking, why am I this schlubby looking white dude talking about Black History Month? And, that's a fair question to ask. To be honest, I had grown curious about how it started and I decided to research it for myself. When I was younger, it was an unquestioned institution that February was when we learned about Black history. And, for a fifth grader, that's where it stops. But now I'm older and I've lived through several events that have shown just how mistreated and disadvantaged minorities are in this country, starting with Trayvon Martin and continuing most recently with the Black Lives Matter protests and the inappropriate police response. It takes willful ignorance to believe that we are all treated equally just because there are laws stating that we should be, despite the fact that those in power are doing their best to change those laws. Discovering who created the event was easy enough. Apologies in advance. I will be using some dated language here, but specifically for the purpose of accuracy. Black History Month was originally Negro History Week. It was the brainchild of Carter G. Woodson and Minister Jesse E. Moreland after founding the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. This association would later be known as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. The purpose of this organization was to research the neglected aspects of African American history. His white peers at the time believed that this was unnecessary, often saying things like, Black history is American history. And this is a sentiment that is still used today to minimize the struggles of African Americans. Just think about the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter comparison. Yet Carter was unable to attend any conferences held by the American History Association, even though he was a dues-paying member. He realized that unless he created a space, Black historians and history would have no chance to persevere. When they established the week-long event, he timed it to coincide with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. The goal was to encourage schools and organizations to focus on teaching the contributions that Black Americans had made. The sad thing is that I never learned about this in school. I had to look it up on my own. The very establishment of Black History Month is a microcosm of how our society treats minorities today. Carter G. Woodson labored to get forgotten people the recognition they deserve, and he succeeded. He pushed back against the predominantly white leaders that determined what was important enough to be remembered. However, he himself, in terms of that institution, have largely been forgotten. In honor of Black History Month and Carter G. Woodson, I'm going to be doing a series of videos this month about notable African Americans. In a way, this is the first in that series. Carter G. Woodson's story is absolutely fascinating. The institutions and journals he established are still running today. He was a prolific author of African American history. He penned over a dozen books. Some are still required course reading. He held many different jobs over his career. He started out as a coal miner to support himself until he could eventually get into high school. He became a teacher. He eventually worked overseas for the U.S. government. He was a superintendent for schools in the Philippines. After he was finished with that job, he continued to travel the world, studying different cultures and kind of just generally broadening his horizons. He got a doctorate from Harvard University in 1912, making him only the second African American to do so. He even served as a Dean of Arts and Literature at Howard University. Like, honestly, he has to be one of the most interesting people that has ever lived. This video only scratches the surface of his achievements. And if the topic interests you, I encourage you to learn more. The whole point of Black History Month is to show us that African Americans have always been a part of American history and to give them the space that they deserve. To leave their achievements unacknowledged is not only a disservice to them, but to us as well. They have always been here. They will always be here. No amount of ignorance will erase the mark that they have left. Carter G. Woodson saw to that personally. I want to thank you for watching. I'm trying something new. I believe that we should talk about these types of things. We should take it upon ourselves to get educated. If what's taught in schools is insufficient, and I kind of believe that it is. This part is a little bit rambly because it's not really scripted, so sorry for that. But really, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope that it encourages you to look into the achievements of other Black Americans. Thank you for watching, and never forget, I loves you. It's only 7 minutes, but that's fine. Not really intending on these to be... When they established the Leek Wong